What's up, Film Jammers? You know, I always like to take my trusty DSLR with me whenever I can, but sometimes I see a moment happening and all I have is my iPhone in my pocket. Ooh. Surprisingly, I've shot some of my favorite photos on my iPhone. So today I'm gonna show you some tips for shooting great photos right on your cell phone. And I'm not talking about slow fees. So here are some photos I shot on my iPhone X. It's a few years old now, but I'm still pretty happy with the quality. I didn't use any external flashes or fancy lighting. I just used the iPhone and natural light. For retouching the photos, I just used the native iPhone Photos app. And for a few shots, I used lens distortions, which is a really neat photo editing app. And I'm gonna show you a little bit more about that in a few. Now let's take a look at how to take better photos on your iPhone. 5 tips in your face. Set your exposure manually. Your iPhone is pretty good at setting your exposure on auto, but a lot of times you can get a better result if you set it manually. Now here's how you do that. Open the camera app and press and hold the screen. You'll see this little AEAF lock icon come up. What that does is it locks your exposure and your focus. And when it's locked, you can still adjust your exposure using the little slider on the right front of the box. Use this to dial your exposure in. Then if you want to reframe your shot, your exposure won't be auto-adjusted. I find this really helpful when I have bright lights in my shot. Sometimes the iPhone sensor doesn't know how you want to expose the image. I also use the manual exposure when I'm shooting in high contrast situations. Using this tool can be a big help in making better photographs. Looking good. Exposure-rific, Daddy. Be aware of your lighting. So now that you know how to fine-tune your exposure manually, try to use natural lighting to your advantage. If you can, try to shoot at magic hour, that time right after sunrise or right before sunset. The light is really beautiful, it's less intense and softer during this time. Using magic hour light will produce noticeably better images than if you shoot during harsher midday sun. And if you're inside, try to find a window, maybe where there's a white curtain to soften the light coming in. This natural light can really enhance your shots. So think about your lighting before you snap. I'm gonna snap. If you're shooting a portrait, try to avoid bright backgrounds that will overpower your subject. For example, don't shoot with a bright window right behind your subject if they're in the shadows. Try positioning them next to the window and allowing the outside light to illuminate their face. Much better. I love windows and the light they produce. Yeah. Take your time composing your shots. So you've set your exposure manually, you found some nice natural lighting for your shot. Now, compose. I think this is one of the biggest separators for me from a good photo to a great photo. That sweet composition. Just taking a little extra time to adjust your composition can make a huge difference. In these images, I just snapped off a few quick snapshots without taking much time. And then here, I took a moment to compose the picture. When I took the time to compose the picture, I avoided the overly bright area there, and I used rule of thirds to make it a pleasing composition. So take the time and compose. You'll be glad you did.
I'm not glad, that was a waste of time.
How dare you? No.
Crap!
One thing that I think gets often overlooked is the power of cropping your photos. After I take a photo, sometimes I like to play with a variety of different cropping variations. Using rule of thirds or rule of ninths to experiment, sometimes it can make a really interesting photo out of an image you weren't too crazy about to begin with. You can also crop out something that maybe you didn't like in the photo. Maybe a rogue tree branch or a distasteful photobomber. Get that guy out of there.
Ow!
Or your ex Aunt Lucy's Winnebago.
Crap!
Never liked that thing anyway. See you later, Aunt Lucy. Try going through your old photos in your camera roll and crop them differently. See what you come up with. It might surprise you, pleasantly, or scare you deeply. That's not right. Edit your photos. Once you have your shots in the can, doing a little retouching can really bring home the bacon, as we used to say on my vegan farm. You can sharpen, add a little saturation, tint, edit to your taste, and get creative. For retouching, I mostly use the built-in Photos app, which also gets better and better every year, which is nice. Or you can download a photo editing app from the App Store for more fine tuning of your controls. Camera Plus is one app that I like, and it has a ton of adjustments for almost anything. In Camera Plus, you can add film grain, soft focus, duotone, vignettes, and a lot of other options. And it has a really nice clarity filter as a preset. I like to use it on landscapes as it adds a little bit of sharpening and contrast and really makes them pop. Or if you want to add a little extra special sauce, try lens distortions. This app has built-in filters like fog, rain, snow, lens flare, and a lot of other overlays to add texture to your photos. This photo app is one of my favorites, and when I'm done, a lot of times people don't believe that the photo I show them was shot on an iPhone. Tricked you, grandma. Sucker.
Why'd you do that, boy?
But even if you're just gonna use the built-in photo editor on the iPhone, you can get some really nice results too.
Bonus tip. Bonus tip.
For iPhone 7 Plus and newer, portrait mode. Whoa. One of the major advantages of newer iPhones is the ability to shoot in portrait mode, which gives you a simulated shallow depth of field.
Yo, Film Jams, I just want to make my photos look good. I don't want to hear about shallow depth of what?
Well, it's really easy to do. Just select it in the option menu in your camera app. Using this mode for portrait shots and product shots can really give you a more professional look. One thing to be careful of, sometimes the edges and hair can look a little funky when you use portrait mode, but overall I really like it, and up till now you really needed a dedicated DSLR style camera to get this look.
Well, actually now I appreciate your multiple camera unit technology and what it can do for my photography. Sorry, Film Jams.
All right, well I hope this tutorial on shooting better iPhone photos was helpful. Remember, set your exposure manually, use natural light to your advantage, compose your shots, then crop your shots if needed, and when you're done, use photo editing apps to enhance your images. So let's see what you got. Let's see what you got. Share some links to some of your favorite iPhone photos in the comments below, and we'll see you next week. New videos every Tuesday and Friday.
I'm gonna like and subscribe to this video channel because it helped me.
You should subscribe also.
Exposurific, Scooby.
Trying to do Scooby.
Exposurific, Scooby-Doo.
No. Shaggy.
Exposurific, Shaggy.
That was Yoda.